Good evening. We're so pleased that you can join us this evening to see our wonderful Key Stage 3 work in this fantastic gallery space. We're so proud of the work they've done during lockdown, and Miss Bizzari and myself are going to take you on a tour around the gallery, and you can use the live chat to ask us any questions and make comments as we go around. Thank you.
Hello Key Stage 3 students and parents. We're really proud of the lovely work that you've done, and it's brilliant to showcase it this evening. Cheers.
Well done, Key Stage 3.
Hello, welcome to our Key Stage 3 virtual exhibition. We're about to enter a really special gallery space that's been created just to showcase this work. We're so proud of the work that we're going to see here, and most of it was, well, all of it was produced in lockdown. So it's going to be a really interesting journey, kind of looking back at the time that we've just encountered. As we step into the gallery space, we're joined by a soundscape which has been created by one of our talented Year 7 musicians, so look out for that. So click on the Enter Exhibition to start to access the exhibition here, and there are instructions on the screen. You can look at the overview of the room. Within the room there will be text, as there would be in a normal gallery. So what can we expect to find in this room, Miss Bizzari?
So the Year 7s during lockdown were creating their own doodle books. Each lesson they had a doodle challenge, which ranged in a variety of different things. One of the tasks was to draw COVID-19 in using what colour they had in different sizes, in different ways. Kind of a way to process what's going on in a visual way.
They were quite interesting, weren't they? I kept seeing all these COVID images all over the press, and in some kind of weird way I found them quite beautiful.
Oh, definitely. And I think it's really therapeutic as well, because when I was making my examples, that you just kind of get caught in like all of those little nodules that COVID has.
Yeah. It's interesting to be able to just record what you're experiencing visually, as well as what you're hearing and your day-to-day experience. So it's lovely that in art you can do that, and as you say, I think that's really good that you can process your feelings through these kind of quite meditative activities.
Oh, definitely. And I think one of the ones that I enjoyed seeing the students produce was the 30-second challenge. So they got to choose one object of their choosing. So for instance, Saskia chose glue sticks. So she spent 30 seconds each drawing, repeatedly experimenting with mark making and seeing how she could push her drawing skills in that short amount of time.
I think that's a tremendous skill, actually. When I was doing mine, it was interesting that you kind of expected to get better and better as you did it. Yeah. And I always found the first drawing was the best.
Oh, definitely, because you don't see like what you've done before, so it's just instantaneous and spontaneous, I guess.
It's lovely. And these doodle activities, I think a lot of the kids were quite surprised that it wasn't the conventional way of drawing that they were used to. So that was really interesting. Should we look at a really good example of that, actually? If we come out of the detail view, and you can see I'm navigating around the room with the arrows, so you can just whiz around here. So let's just go and have a look at this one over here. Do you want to tell us what this is all about?
Oh, this one is brilliant. So the task was a stick-in challenge. So they had to find something around their house to stick in. So Jalen found some robot stickers, and he was really creative with this, creating like the rocket robot is just shooting across the page, really.
Yeah, it's so expressive, isn't it? Yeah. And that lovely dynamic use of paint that as an adult you get a bit precious about things, don't you? And it's lovely to see that childlike playfulness coming out, isn't it?
Definitely.
And really celebrating that. We've got some other examples. If we just skim around, we can go backwards. So I'm just using the mouse to just whiz around the room. And you can see other examples here of the drawing challenge and the drawing out. Sorry, you just find the tools are a little bit dynamic. So this is a nice example of the drawing out task that we set, where you had to find an object and then draw out from it and animate it. So look at that, I think that's brilliant.
There's some amazing examples from these Year 7s, and creating the most unusual situations from just a simple object. They are definitely an imaginative bunch.
They really are, aren't they?
Yeah.
If we head over here. So make sure you enter all the areas of the room. Don't miss anything. So have a little scoot around and you'll find all sorts of different things going on here where the students have interpreted the tasks in their own way and often very humorously. I must say, it certainly kept me sane looking at the students' work. That's lovely. So yeah, do have a good look round. You can access the gallery yourself. You don't have to just go on our tour here. We obviously won't have time to look at all of the works here, so do feel free to go back and look at it in your own time. So we're going to whiz through here, and we're accessing here the Year 8 room. So if we just go forward a little bit more, and then if we turn around, you can notice if you go to a gallery, there should be the text on the wall behind you. It's normally behind you. So there is a little introduction to each room here. And in the Year 8 area, so we spent a lot of time during lockdown looking at masks. We did do some landscape work as well, which unfortunately there isn't any on here. But we wanted to really concentrate on the masks here. We looked at a number of different starting points for the Year 8, and we wanted them to be able to explore mask making, but to have a little bit of background to it, so where masks come from, how they're used in different cultures. And we wanted them to be able to understand the different uses. We did look at an artist who used them in a recycled way. We looked at Day of the Dead. One of the first activities actually was a drawing task. So if we go into the list of works here, I can just scroll down and you'll see they're all listed by name and form. So I just want to focus in here on one of our talented Year 8s amongst the many of them. So this is one of our early lockdown tasks. Okay, so as you can see, it's a self-portrait wearing a mask, and there are quite a few of these in the exhibition. What do you think, Miss Bizzari, that the students have gained from doing this task?
I think this task was such a great start for art during the pandemic, because it gave them the opportunity to channel their feelings during the pandemic, because it was such an unusual time for them. They were able to feel safe in their drawing, to be able to communicate to others how they were feeling and what message they wanted to put to their friends, to their peers, to their teachers. And they definitely gained a lot from this, skill-wise and through, being able to process their feelings.
I think there's some absolutely wonderful self-portraits here. I mean, missing out the mouth might have been considered that it would, detract from the portraiture, but actually, they've done a wonderful job with the tone and the detail and the proportions. And there's some great examples in here. Let's try and find some more with writing on, that idea of self-expression, as you said, feeling safe to express how you really feel. It's been a really interesting, challenging time, and everybody's had a very different experience. So, it's lovely to see the students work here. I think they've been incredibly brave in the way that they've approached these tasks. Just have a look here, and wanting to get their messages across, which is lovely. So that was one of the first parts of the mask activity, and then we moved into mask making, So I'll carry on using the list of works because it's just a little bit easier to find things. We did some designing, and students used a variety of different materials to design masks that express different things or were inspired by different functions of masks, because we'd looked at how a mask can change identity and how it might have a functional use. So it was nice to be able to explore that. And there is a making task here. So it'd just be really nice to show you some of the outcomes of the making task. Just bear with me as I scroll through. I just wanted to start with this one by Sherry. And these are all recycled masks. So everybody had to use whatever they had at home, didn't they?
Yeah.
You know, we couldn't really set a task that required specialist materials or anything. No, so it was accessible. We felt it was accessible. We looked at an artist called Romuald Hazumi, excuse my pronunciation, who's an artist from Benin in West Africa. He uses his recycled masks to really get across a lot of political views, environmental but also social ideas around pollution and recycling in his local environment. But they're amazingly creative, and the students really took that on board, and you can see Sherry here using the materials in a really imaginative way. What did we particularly notice about this activity when the students presented us with this work, do you think?
It was definitely the wide range of interpretation of the task. Like as Miss Jones has said, all students have like different things at home, so like different recycling, and the range that the students produced and the independent working was just like outstanding. Every mask that was created was so individual to the person, and all of the masks were adapted to each individual student. They went in a direction that they were really interested and engaged in. And it really comes through with how they have manipulated the materials, how they've added colour, and how they even, for some students, actually conceals their face and they can actually wear it.
Yeah, it's really good, isn't it? I mean, the drawings led in nicely to that, but the range of different approaches to this, from the recycled milk bottle to the more sophisticated use of papier-mâché in this one. Yeah, we've got a really wide range of outcomes going on here. I think it's tremendous to see. We did use some tutorials, and some of the students used the tutorials to convert their egg boxes into these amazingly sophisticated masks that really do conceal their identity, don't they? We really liked that idea that a mask, as I say, conceals your identity, but therefore then makes you free to express perhaps a different element of yourself, or something you didn't feel confident to do otherwise, which is so exciting. So do have a good look round. I mean, there's some really good and diverse examples in here that you can have a little look at. Some of the students also, once they'd designed their mask, they went in and designed a costume that would go with the mask. So it was nice to think that the mask wasn't an isolated part of an art form in itself, that it's part of a performance, a ritual, a costume, and that worked. We did look at some examples of African rituals where the mask is very much part of a dance process. We looked at some contemporary artists who also have this idea of music and sound, and the mask is all part of that. So it was really exciting, and I certainly learned a lot from what the students chose to look at.
I definitely there was some masks that they researched and created themselves that I didn't even know existed, and it was great to see that I'm still learning when they're learning.
Absolutely. Some of them also were thinking about the narrative that went with the mask. I've just got to find, there we are. This is Charlotte's other piece. So she designed the mask, she designed the costume to go with the mask, and then she's done the whole kind of storyline of the mask as well in this tremendous piece of comic strip writing, which was really interesting and engaging. But yeah, I mean, I certainly learnt a lot about superheroes and different kind of programs and things. I thought it was brilliant. Every week you were learning something new and looking at something different. So it's been really exciting. So do have a good look around the room. You can navigate, as I said, in different ways. So we can even just go previous work and you'll be taken around the gallery in this way. And you can have a look at all of them, or if you wish to look for a specific piece of work, use the list of works. There is actually a tour on here that you can do. Here, if you start tour, it will take you around the gallery one work at a time. So if you've got a very nice large glass of wine to accompany you, you could spend a bit more time doing that. Okay, we're going to go now into the Year 9 area. I would guide you through the gallery to do it, but I always get lost. So we're going to use the list of works as the easiest way to transport ourselves. So we're going to be transported into quite a different area now. So this is our Year 9 area. Okay, so the work we did in lockdown did seem to be especially poignant, didn't it?
I definitely. I think this is probably one of my favourite things to teach the students because of how much it links to what's going on now. So they learn such a wide variety of things, and I think the best point that they learn was the fact that art is not just for gallery spaces. It doesn't have to be perfect. It can be engaging. You can create art on billboards and placards to have and to share your point of view and to be able to help a bigger cause. So they create like montages of, for instance, like about money in society and about the wealthy and that kind of that wage gap. There was things to do about climate and Black Lives Matter, and such a wide variety of themes that the students wanted to explore, and they had such an autonomy over their work.
They really did, didn't they? I mean, this room shows the work they did looking at protests. So the theme of this was called Art and Protests, which, you know, is a challenging thing to look at, but so important, as you say, that students recognise that artists don't just work in isolation. Art is part of society. Art and protest go so well together. You know, the use of placards in protest, the idea that art communicates. And as we were saying, you know, it has been really poignant this year with so much protest going on, so much strength of feeling in the last year around lockdown, around Black Lives Matter. You know, there's been a lot of protest going on. We gave them a bit of history here, looking back to the 60s and the States and the early race riots and protesting, not riots, sorry, but the protest about equality. And what is particularly interesting to note is, you know, we're looking at America in the 60s where there's a lot of racial division, and these events really made a difference. You know, people actually were able to change society, to change rules, to change their own lives and the lives of other people. So it was a really interesting thing to look at with the students, and then for them to be able to tell us and to tell you what it is they feel strongly about. You know, it's not all serious. Some of them are quite humorous, but you know, these placards, and some of these are done digitally as well, which is really clever because we introduced them to some digital packages, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we used an online version of Photoshop. Some students who have iPads were using particular types of drawing software.
Yeah, it's been really interesting, and the messages that people wanted to put across. And in different ways. I mean, again, it's always been unexpected, hasn't it? We never really quite know what we're going to be seeing, you know, when we set a task. Some beautiful portraiture here. And then as we move around, you know, these were for the billboards, so they were asked to look at typography, which is, you know, there are artists who produce work based entirely around typography. We looked at Bob and Roberta Smith, for example. So it's also nice to be able to look at art as not just a more traditional painting, drawing, but the fact that art does encompass graphics, textiles, sculpture, and different forms of expression. So again, have a good look around here, really enjoy the work. There's so much diversity. I think the soundtrack for this room is great. It really complements the imagery, and again, it's composed by one of our students, so do enjoy the music as well. Okay, here ends our introductory tour. I hope you've enjoyed having a little look around with us. We've certainly enjoyed showing you around, haven't we?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and it's lovely. I mean, all of this was done in lockdown, and to get it out there public, I think that's really, really important. You can use the link on the page that you access this video to go to the gallery and have a look around in your own time. We really hope you've enjoyed sharing this really special event with us, and we do look forward to welcoming you to our GCSE and A-level show later in this year. We'll be showcasing their year 12 and 13 and 10 and 11 work that's been submitted for the coursework, so watch this space for more amazing artwork. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Bye.
If you want to revisit the gallery at any point, click the link below and it will be there.